All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Culture Calls, dialing into the future, where we discuss everything on culture. Today, we are in conversation with Karen Calder. Karen is the founder and CEO of Karen Calder Coaching and Consulting, a company centered on change and how our mind shapes the path to success. She has helped organizations transform their culture, implement talent solution, and develop high-performing leaders and teams. Her experience spans nationally recognized and internationally to globally successful brands like Walmart, Home Depot, and First Service Residential, just to name a few. An absolute pleasure to have you on our show, Karen. How are you doing today?
Doing great, and let's just say it's great to be here with you and all of your subscribers.
Thank you so much. Can you just start off by telling us a bit about yourself and what is your current role and what exactly you pursue?
Sure. So just a little bit of background. I mean, I think you did a great job of introducing me. I have 30 years of corporate experience, and 7 years ago, I decided that I wanted to strike out on my own and have been working on my own with a number of organizations, helping them through change, helping their leaders really evolve themselves in this time of great upheaval. It truly is that VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, chaotic, and ambiguous. So everybody's in need of some, support in different ways of doing things than what we have been used to doing for the last 10 years.
Right. Fantastic. One of the things when I was, learning a lot about you is that you have had a lot of experience in so many different sectors and so many different departments. And you've probably come across a lot of different, versions of how work culture is and how work culture is planned. So my question is, how exactly do you see work culture evolving from now on? Because I think post the pandemic, there was a setting wherein it's all hybrid culture, or somewhere it's just remote culture that's taking a lot over. So how do you see work culture evolving in this environment, especially in this hybrid environment, which is kind of looking here to stay for a while?
I think it's a very fascinating time. Um, what I witnessed during the pandemic was like a flick of a switch. It was one day we were all working in the office, and then literally within 24 hours, we were setting up home offices and trying to figure out how to create that hybrid culture. Um, Now that we're easing out of the pandemic and we're kind of coming back to you know some in the office, some not in the office, and some in but in between. I don't think it will be a flick of the switch. I think it will really depend on the organization and the leaders and their philosophy and um, where they want to take their culture. So I see the gamut in my organization. I see leaders wanting everybody to come back to the office. They feel like they've really lost culture. They've lost the connection. They've lost the teamwork, the ability to bring people together and share a common message and create that direction. So they're wanting people to come back to the office. I also see on the flip side, companies and leaders saying, this has worked really well for us. And so we're going to keep doing this. And then I see some of the companies in between. Let's create a bit of both worlds where we'll have the ability and flexibility to work from home for some days, and then we on other days we want people to come into the office. So I really truly think this is gonna be interesting. I think over the next year or two to see where this lands. But I do think it will be a variety of different combinations for companies.
Right. I completely agree to that. It was literally a flick of a switch, and everyone had to suddenly understand how to adapt to this digital workspace. I always remember, when we were conversing, I understood that work culture plays such an important role in defining an organization. So this is one quote by Gary Vee that always strikes my mind, which is he says that company culture is the backbone of every successful organization. So I just want to ask, how true is this when it comes to your organization and the clients that you work with. Is company culture really at the backbone of every organization?
110%. I really like that quote by Gary. He also has a chief heart officer that works in his organization, and he works very hard on his culture. He believes that people are the culture, and overcoming politics by kindness and empathy is his mantra, helping people to become self-aware and helping them to evolve in this time of great change. It really is a time of great change. And I think so a company culture helps or hinders your ability to execute on your strategy. Um, it impacts how your customers experience your organization. Um, and lastly, it impacts how your employees view your organization and whether they want to stay or they want to leave. And I will say right now, organizations, if they're not realizing this, but talent is really good talent, capable talent that you need to help the digital transformation is very hard to come by because they have a lot of options at the present moment. It is not a company, you know, um, centered world right at the present moment. It really truly is an employee and talent centered world. A lot of people are opting out and saying, I didn't like how I was treated during COVID and a global pandemic, and our company now wants us to come back and be face to face. I'm not feeling that same connection, so I am going to try another organization, or I'm going to go out on my own. So culture is everything. It is everything.
I completely agree to that. And I also like how so many people have now accepted the freedom that it gives them, especially when they choose to work however they want to. And I think a lot of companies have defined that, in the way that they're driving down their culture. Which is that you have the freedom to work how you want. And I think that's one of the fascinating things that has happened in the recent times. One of the things that I saw is that you worked a lot in understanding how data and technology have worked across in your experience as a person. So, do you think data and technology play an important role in defining company culture? Do you think data is a key role in defining? Because I see that these words are used a lot of times. We need the data, we need tech to make sure that a company culture is in place. But do we really, and do you really think that we need the right data and technology?
So listen, I think there are four things to allow us to perform in an organization. One is we have to be really clear on expectations. I call it my Excel model. We have to be really clear on expectations. We have to be really clear on capability and skills that we need. We have to be really clear on when I say equipment, like equipping people. And then, the last part is that we have to provide leadership, and leadership comes two ways. I bring leadership, self-leadership, and the leadership in the organization. Getting back to the second E, which is equipping individuals. So this is about having the right technology to support their productivity, to support collaboration, to support um, the way in which we work. And when your tools don't work, and you're, reverting back to manual processes or systems that are broken, you know, think about like how frustrated people leave because it becomes too complicated, too hard. You have to push kind of that water up the hill in organizations if you don't have the right tool. I also believe you just saw in a global pandemic when we're in a hybrid workplace that technology unites us. It gives us the ability, like look at the Zoom calls. Like we've Zoom and Teams and WebEx. Those are just common words now that we use. And in fact, we probably don't pick up telephones anymore. when we're talking to people. So that becomes very important. In terms of data, I think every CEO and every senior leader should have data collected to get a pulse check on where they are in the org, and like where is their culture? Where's it leaning towards? How is culture being perceived and how is it being experienced inside the organization? If we really truly believe that culture makes or breaks a company's ability to, achieve its goals, to execute on its strategy. And if they really truly believe that, people, it makes up the organization, then why not ask the people, how are they experience the culture? And then the last thing and you need data for that. The other thing that's really, really important that just came to mind was you rarely have one culture inside an organization. You typically will have an overarching guiding values and principles, but how that get action will depend on the leader of each of the functional areas. So I have gone in and worked in large organization and experienced different cultures depending on the leader and the team that I'm working with. So the data as a senior leader in an organization will help you identify what are some of those subcultures, and are they being true to the culture that we're trying to live up to, or the is it not? Are there gaps? And then how do we help the leader and the teams close those gaps?
Right. I absolutely agree to that. I think one of the last points that you told, I think I really understood the value of that, which is culture is different for different people. And I absolutely agree to that. And it's one of those things that, we can see very much in a lot of the organizations that we work with. There is one question that we ask all of our guests here. And I realize that every time I ask this question, everyone has a different answer, which is what exactly does it take to become an employer of choice? And this question has received so many different answers. So, what, according to Karen, do you think is the right way, or what does it take to become an employer of choice?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I've never heard one sort of simple answer to that. And that makes sense to me because we're individuals and we're all coming to the workplace from different levels of perspective and mindsets and expectations, right? So I don't think there is one clear answer of what an employer of choice. I will say this, if you're an employer of choice, if you're able to attract and retain top talent in your organization, and if you're able to achieve the goals through the talent and really build something special. I think we should let talent vote, employers of choice. But I do think it's a place where an employer of choice to me would be, for me personally, it would be a place that I could go and collaborate with others, where there's psychological safety to express ideas, where there was creativity, where we were able to be, self-aware and evolve ourselves as human beings. Um, and that it didn't feel, I've experienced the other side where it feels punitive and hard and critical and judgmental. And, it kind of sucks the energy out of you. I think an employer of choice company is a company where you go and you can feel expansive and that you can grow and that you can bring your best self and the energy. And honestly, I have worked with a leader where you talk to all of her employees and her employees say, it doesn't matter. I could go somewhere else and make more money, but I'm staying here because she's just an amazing leader. And I went, I've never heard anything like that before. I'm like, what? And so I doubled down on, what does that, what is she doing? And she's really just connecting individually to each and every person, one-on-one meetings, lots of empathy, lots of kindness, but very clear and direct on what the expectations are of the organization. And it's like the glue. It keeps people there, working for and achieving. And I think they're reaching, double-digit growth. So it's working for them.
Right. That seems fantastic. One of the things that you told I just want to ask a question on that itself, which is, you told that leadership, the leadership of a company plays a very key important role in defining the culture. So, what exactly is the role that the leadership of an organization should play in defining the culture? So, I think the best way to break down my question is, what exactly are the steps that, as a leadership, people should take to define company culture?
First step is to acknowledge, like for CEO and senior leadership team, to acknowledge the importance of culture. I see them placing far more emphasis on getting results because that's kind of either what the board is asking of them or their boss is asking of them. Very short-term results, right? It's really truly a very few individuals, very few leaders that will say, I'm going to reverse this. And rather than focusing on the outcome and their results, I'm going to focus on the how we get there. Like I'm going to be clear about the outcome. Don't get me wrong. Clarity is a high performance tool that we use, right? We need to know where we're going, align everybody on where we're going, and then spend the majority of the time on how we get there. And so I think I think I think they need better understanding of culture, and that it's not a fluffy word, that it's hard and that it drives results and that it's important. If we could share more and more examples with senior leaders on what leaders are doing that drive results through culture and people, that's different than how we traditionally think of leadership, which is, results orientated, setting goals, driving change in an organization. Because I think with that, you drive out the energy and drive people away versus bringing people along. It's a shift in leadership that needs to occur, and we need to educate leaders. I don't know if I have a step-by-step process of it yet. That's a good question, actually. But more emphasis on understanding the importance, and that you just can't take your hands off of the wheel with culture. You have to put your hands on the wheel, you have to drive it, and you have to be deliberate. What is the culture that you want to create in your organization? Why is that important to you? How will that look? What are the key mindset and behaviors and values that you need to underpin the culture that you're trying to create? And be very deliberate about it.
Right. It was an absolute pleasure to have you, Karen. I'm sorry to cut this off, but I think we're a bit short on time. So thank you so much for joining us. Is there any final words that you want to let our audience know about?
Culture is all about the people. And so I think that's it. And I think the last thing I will say is that we're just all looking for belonging. And so if you can
Mm.
focus on how to create the belonging inside organizations, you will achieve extraordinary results. Thank you for having me on your podcast today. And as your guest, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Building a culture of belonging. I think that's an amazing note to end with. Thank you so much, Karen, for joining us. And the viewers for watching us until here, thank you so much for watching. If you have anything, please let us know in the comments and make sure to leave a like. And we'll see you again next time.